want to be wealthy? Do you want to be in control of your finances? Do you feel like you mostly get financial advice from people who are trying to sell you a bank's products? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, then stay tuned because you are at the right place. Welcome to Money Convos, a club committed to helping people achieve financial freedom by providing education and guidance on personal finance and investments. We have a group of experts who share their knowledge and give practical advice with no strings attached. At Money Convos, we have candid, mature conversations about wealth, how to create it, grow it, and protect it. We share our experience and encourage our audience to share theirs and ask questions. Join us every Thursday on Clubhouse at 7 p.m. GMT. We also have book discussions that bring out practical lessons. So far, we have read Dumb Things Smart People Do With Their Money, The Richest Man in Babylon, and The Millionaire Next Door. Most importantly, we have one-on-one financial coaching sessions where we guide individuals through setting financial goals, retirement planning, budgeting, investments, risk management, and so many more areas. The goal is to get you to financial independence from whatever income level you're at. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse. The handle is at Money Convos GH, or send us an email at moneyconvosgh@gmail.com so we get you started on your journey to financial freedom. Now that you're all caught up, let's head into our next conversation.
Hello. Hi, Mimi. How you doing? Oh, Mimi, please unmute.
How are you doing yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. The return to work and actually making the commute to and fro. As my body is taking a while to adjust, so a bit tired, but
So,
we manage
so
it. How
are
about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Are you doing this fully? Is it full
Yeah,
time?
so we are supposed to be on a schedule, but for me, I have certain
Okay.
activities that I want to make sure that I'm in the office fully to execute them very
Okay.
well. So yeah,
Okay.
anyway, good to hear that you are doing well. Jennifer would be joining us in a bit. She hasn't gotten home yet, so
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so today we are doing the end of this book. We are getting to the end of this book in today's conversation, and we are going to be talking about mainly the 10 tips that he recommends to get started. But before we look at those 10 tips, in fact, let me see. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on reading these concluding chapters from the book?
I think that the whole book just gets you to generally reassess your life and your way of thinking. I mean, some of the things that were mentioned in the book are quite, wow. So I have like a lot of questions on my mind, um, about what works and what doesn't work and all that. But I think this is a very good book to shake your foundations if you need anything like that. And the conclusion, I think, brought everything home after telling us about his experiences and the rest. What would you leave with us? And so that's what the chapter 8 and 9 did for us. Summarize what are the main lessons, what are the key lessons we should be taking away from this book.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, like you said, it will shake your foundations. There are still some things that I disagree with some way, He's more of he says buy some financial assets. I think there was a part where he gave three options: don't invest at all, don't save anything at all, or do something that will grow 6 to 8%, 6 to 18, 16%, or do more risky investment, real estate and the like, and grow your money from thousands to millions. Those things that a few things here and there that should I say I disagree with, or I haven't quite gotten around to agreeing with. But it's been a good book, like you said, shake up your foundation, remind you of some of these things, and it gets me thinking. It's really important that we keep having these money conversations.
Yeah.
Hence the name, brilliant name, right? Because they keep us reminded. Sometimes you forget. Sometimes you get a windfall and you forget to go and pay yourself first. But because we are reading these kind of books, every now and then, in fact, more often than not, we are reminded. There are some people who go months without getting reminders, and even when they get the reminders, they've already developed tough skin. I
Yeah.
was having a conversation with someone about I did a model on how to make certain decisions and the pros and cons, right? And they were all boiled down to, yeah, I guess it's what you're saying is a good idea, but I'm going to do this one. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's your personal choice. It's all good. I'm not gonna even argue about it with you. But it just got me thinking, and I overheard a side conversation where he was having it with another person. And it's like, Charlie, the way Ghana did, the way your family pressure, this, that, this, the people will be expecting that you're of a certain age, you should rather be doing this, doing that. And it got me thinking, sometimes we know what we should do, but we allow ourselves to get soaked up by the pressure. We yield to the pressure. So the more we have these kind of these conversations that help us to focus on our main goals, the more we surround ourselves with people who can keep us grounded on those things, the better it is for us as the mindset is enforced, is reinforced, and we are able to stick to those decisions. So that when you get a windfall, you put it away. Every time you get a windfall, you just put it away, that kind of thing. And then you keep checking your investments, make sure that it's in a safe place. All the good things that the books teach us. It's really important to have such good company. So I'm glad we are having these conversations, and I hope our audience to also keep being reminded. I had some feedback that, what, to help motivate us have this conversation today. Let me just go and read that feedback for you.
Okay.
It's feedback after the conversation we had on Thursday with Debbie, and
Okay.
someone said, she said she gave some feedback about our YouTube and a mistake on the YouTube, which I'll go and fix. And then she said, um, I know you are pretty busy, but you guys are really doing well. Just want to send this before I forget. Now, I spend 1 hour of my day catching up on all the missed sessions, and it's really
Oh, wow.
insightful. Thanks, Charlie Mimi.
More of
And
it.
oh yeah, yeah, this comes from a friend I highly respect, and I've had a conversation with this before, and she's like, she used to work in a commercial bank, right? And she said sometimes if these things, even bankers don't know about it. Someone's even selling a loan product is clueless about the loan product. All they know is Charlie push it. So yeah, it shows you that even we in finance can learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
How much more the people who don't come into contact with invest your money all the time, Charlie, some way. Anyway,
Yeah.
so with this motivation, let's head into today's conversation. Hey, I rhymed. Okay. So Robert Kiyosaki in chapter 8 of the book gives 10 tips or 10 steps to get started, to get anyone started on their financial independence journey or their wealth creation journey. In fact, this is not just for you to be independent, this one's for you to create some good money.
Yeah.
So we won't go through all the 10, right? But we just start from the top end. The ones that we really love, we delve deep into them because we don't want to give people spoilers, right? So maybe I'll let you have the first go at it from the top. Which one would you like to start with? Do you have any points on the first one or the second
Yeah.
one?
I'll go with the first one. And
Right?
I have said this a lot, basically because it's one of the mistakes I made looking back. So, not having a reason why you do what you do. I think we all should have a reason why. Why are you saving? Why are you investing? Why are you sacrificing? Why are you in school? Why are you doing the work you do? You need to answer the why. Because the truth is that there'll be tough times, there'll be challenging moments. It's the why that keeps you going. You understand? But once you don't have the why, when the challenges come, you just quit and move on to something else. So I believe that before you embark on any journey, you need to ask yourself why. And for me, reading this book got me asking myself, do I want to be rich? I mean, I know I want to be financially independent, but I was asking myself, do I want to be rich? Why? I think I even made a note of it um, on my phone somewhere, something for me to think about. Why do I want to be rich? Because I believe that that is what will get me going. That is what will get me to sit down and think about, what can I put in place for that, to be achievable, rather than I just want to be rich and not having any reason. When prices go up or fuel prices are going up and there's, then you just do the go somewhere and say, Charlie, Ghana heading, that kind of thing. But having the reason, having a why helps you to, regardless of the challenges, be able to achieve it. And I like that when Kiyosaki shared his own goal of wanting to retire at 40. And, because he had a why, even though he wasn't able to do the 40 and he had to retire at 47, it was still something that, he was pursuing. So for me, this is very important. And this is something I hammer on a lot, having goals, having your why, answering that question before you embark on any journey.
Great, having your why. I also agree with you. It's a very important thing, and he gave a way to even think about your why. For some people, you just want to be rich. Okay, great, that's a good why, as long as it's strong for you. But he gave another way of looking at it. It's about your wants and your don't wants.
Yes.
It's about I don't want to be poor again. I don't want to have to think about my next meal. And the wants, Mimi, today I went to see one of my favorite clients, Charlie. It's like every year he's releasing a new car. Every year. In fact, and before in the last few years, and I'm not talking normal, these are luxury, fully loaded, $100,000 plus cars. And today I was like, Charlie, which one is the new one? Because I didn't recognize any car outside. So which one is yours? Charlie, I want, I want to be able to afford such luxuries. That's my why. That's one of my whys. I want to be able to make impact. And I was talking to yet another client, and he was also talking about how I'm not about them. It's like, yeah, I have money, but it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about how I impact other people's lives. That I replicate myself. That I should be able to teach other people. You know, in this part, this second client, he was talking about how the children have misbehaved, so he's going to remove and I was there with Debbie Debbie's from our conversation last week Thursday.
Yeah.
Remember what she said about children? When the child breaks something, the child should
Yeah.
fix it, right? And he said similarly, they have messed up. He has the money in his account. He will remove it from their own investment account and he'll let them know, in fact, they should come and do the necessary filling forms and go and pay it out of their own money. In fact, it's money that he has been saving for them anyway, but it's his money that he could be having. So that next time they don't go and misbehave. It's so it's about what's your why. And for him, it's about that legacy that he's leaving and making sure that his children, even though he has money, they are not being spoiled children. They should still be able to for this money to be intergenerational. He's talking about his children's children, and for him, that's his why. So for somebody, maybe I don't want to worry about my next meal ever again. For somebody, maybe I want my family to be set for generations to come. For somebody, they just want to sit on the soft leather of a Mercedes Benz. Someone wants to build a school. Whatever your why is, please find your why and let that be your motivation to keep going. Right, great. Mimi, what point would you like to jump to next?
I think I'm just going with the flow. So I'm
Ah,
just going with number two,
okay.
um, making daily choices. And this is another one. Sometimes you tell yourself you want to be rich, but your monthly choices are saying otherwise. It's not aligning with what you're saying. So I feel like every action, everything we do in a day built up to something eventually. It's like compound interest of a sort. So we want to make sure that whatever it is that we are using our time for, whatever daily decisions we are making, whether it's spending, investing, reading, associating with the right people, networking, all that feeds into the bigger plan, rather than just do anything anyhow and then still expect to arrive at, you know, your goal. So for me, I think that once we tell ourselves that this is where we want to be, this is our why, ask yourself, are your daily choices getting you to that place? Or is it saying something else? If it doesn't align, then there's a need for you to start, reflecting and see what you can do best to align yourself.
Exactly, Mimi. It's about the choices. It's about the choices. There's this song I like. Medical featured on the song. Said it's Dance God Lloyd. And basically he said that you want to drive a Range Rover, but when you see car with no, every time you get money, you put it in your mouth. Every time you get money, you spend it. Every time you get money, you spend it. But you want to drive a Range Rover. When will you save enough money to buy a Range Rover? Everywhere some people live like that, waiting for one time for them to blow. Then one deal, one transaction, they use it to buy the Range Rover. They use it to buy the house in Transaco. You have to build it, right? And it comes from the choices, the daily choices. And like you said, one of the things you said was about um, how you learn the people that you engage with. And Kiyosaki starts with that. Invest first in education. Said that some people look for the money and they don't have the education. But when you have that education, you know how to use your money, and you'll be able to handle it well. And what are some of the things that he does? He goes to seminars. In this day and age, you don't even have to go and pay for a seminar. He was talking about a seminar that he paid for 385, yes, $385 for a seminar to learn about, what was it about? On how to buy real estate for nothing down. And that's $385 has made him 2 million because of the knowledge he got from it. But in this day and age, you don't even have to pay for seminars again. You want to learn anything, go on YouTube, Google it. Come on Money Convos if it's investments and personal finance related, and you get all the information that you want. If it's personal finance related, just send us a message on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, or even an email, moneyconvosgh@gmail.com, and we'll answer your question. And we can even do a whole session on it to make sure that we are giving you an in-depth education on the topic. So you don't even have to pay for some of these seminars, and you get it for free. Sometimes these things that we do, we end up, someone will say, "Oh, Charlie, can you do a presentation for my organization or something?" And we end up packaging the same thing and going to charge people for it. But we do these things free on YouTube, on Clubhouse for people. So take advantage. Other ways that people learn, and for me, I love podcasts. He was saying he loves CDs and audiobooks. This is someone who was born in the 60s, right? So
Yeah.
by the 70s, 90s, he was using those things to learn. You can get the audiobooks these days. Smartphones, even if it's a book in a written form, you can make it read to you. So that's how I read my books, and I am able to read it fast. Let the phone read the book to you, while you are doing something. When I'm cycling, I love that. When I'm washing dishes, when I'm doing chores, however you can learn. But that's a choice you need to make. And there's another choice that comes, number five, right? But we'll get to that. But your daily choices need to reflect. Your daily choices need to reflect. All right, let's touch a
I
little.
just wanted to talk about the education
Okay.
bit. I mean, there's a lot of information out there,
Mhm.
and that's true. But sometimes you would have to pay for knowledge. I think
True.
these days, because there's a lot of information out there, it's sort of hurts people to pay. You
Mm.
know, the truth is that you may not get all. Sometimes somebody has done the research, gone, picked all the information, something that probably you would have taken a year to figure out, that there's a bit of information here, a bit of information there, and put it together. Somebody may have done that work and come up with a certain course, and you need that hot information. You need it like hot, hot, hot to do something. And you think it will be valuable to you, like he said, you've done your cost benefit analysis and you think it will be valuable to you. I think that you should pay for it because
Mm.
for me, that's something that I'm asking myself of a lot of now. Every year, I want to be taking courses to improve myself. And they say where your treasure is, that's where your heart is also, right? So while we are getting the free one, I believe that we should also be investing. It could be a formal education like a degree, a master's, whatever. There are so many short courses out there. Maybe you want some Harvard on your CV. Harvard has so many short courses. You can get some and then add it to your, stuff. Once you believe that acquiring that asset will bring you so much, then it becomes worth it. So beyond even the free knowledge, and there's a lot of that these days. If you really have the time and you research, you get a bit of stuff here and there and here and then, put it together and get something like very massive. But there's also a place for paying if you believe that that knowledge will give you more money, or the return on investment on that knowledge will be huge or worth it. Yeah.
I can't agree more with you, and in fact, Robert Kiyosaki agrees to this point, and that's number 6. Oh, I think I made a mistake there. It should be pay your brokers well. Pay your
Yes,
brokers
yes,
well.
I've
My
noticed.
bad. Pay your brokers well. I guess I was still fixated on paying myself first. But yeah, it's pay your brokers well. And it's the same point that you're talking about, right? There's an expert who knows their field very well. Some people will say, "Oh, I'll charge them this amount. They'll charge me this. They'll charge me that." But you know something interesting? He drew an analogy. When you go to a restaurant, or at least in the US, where they have a tipping culture, you go to the
Hmm.
US. Some people are okay with paying 15 to 20% of the cost of the food as a tip, but you ask them to pay
3%.
or 3 to 7% to a broker or to a lawyer or to a professional as a transaction fee, and they'll say no, no, no. But these are the people who it will take to make sure that you are doing the right thing. And you remember maybe our conversation on the Thursday clubhouse about real estate when we had the real estate agents coming on board. The kind of things that they do. In fact, this Eddie Aqua, he said his goal as a real estate agent is just to make the process hassle free for you. So basically, once you find it, you go to sleep and then they do everything for you. They make sure they find you the right um, property, and then they make sure that they follow all the due diligence processes. When I'm talking to my clients about investing and we talk about the management fees, I have a client, the client I'll say one of my favorite clients from today. He never talks about management fees, and he has a lot of money, and we get a lot of money from him, but he never talks about management fees. Even when we tell him we are giving a discount, he even say okay. He will just continue talking about something else. He doesn't discuss it because he understands the worth. And anyway, come to think of it, he's also a professional. Looking at the nature of his work, he understands paying experts for them to do what they do. So strongly encourage you. You may think you can Google it and learn how to do it, but you can't do that. But the level of quality, the way you can cover your back, wouldn't be as good as an expert. So definitely pick up that that habit of paying people what they are worth. Maybe any
Let
more
me
things on it? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that you see, there's room for experience. So there's the theoretical part of it, and there's the experience, and the experience is even more important. Today, say Ram sent me something, an issue, and the initial thing was, oh, budget, the regular stuff. But because I have had that experience before, I was able to go deeper than the regular stuff. So I think that we discount experience. Experience is very important because you've dealt with several people who have money. You've seen some of the challenges that you know they are going through. You see some of the opportunities that they are looking at, and you wouldn't get that on Google. You get it. That's somebody's experience. Maybe you would, but I mean, how would you even know? So I feel like if you get the right person, just it's difficult in this part of the world, and I'm not saying it because it's easy for me to pay anyone. As you already know, I have my track record, but
I won't say you're a chisel. Don't worry. I won't say you're a chisel.
but these days, yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah, so I think that once something is worth it, let's pay for it. And it reminds me of when I was going to do my masters, and I had to go for my transcript in mutual. I'm like, there is no way I am sitting in a car to go all the way there. So I found out there was an app or something where you could just request for it and then they bring it. Oh my god, I didn't think twice. Like I just paid the money and got it. And I feel like that is the advantage of getting a good broker on your side. You get it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to now be asking, hey, treasury bill rate your hand and all that. You are sitting there and the person is informing you, of what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes life easier. It makes
Mm-hmm.
life easier. So definitely it's something you should invest in. And because as Kiyosaki said, they know the opportunities on the ground, right? And so if you pay them well, guess what? You get the best opportunities or you get that knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have the time to stop your work and be going around asking for one thing or the other. So yeah, pay them well and you definitely get very good returns on that.
Great, 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 great. Pay them well. They know their stuff. So I'll just quickly gloss over a few of the points, then we move on to another one. So the book also mentions choosing your friends carefully. We've talked about this, and in fact, I alluded to it
Oh, I
earlier on.
I I think that this one is something that we need to talk about more,
Okay.
because for me, personally, I think this choosing your friends wisely, not like I intentionally choose any friend anyway. Disclaimer. But I think this is very important if you want to go anywhere. You should have what I call your pressure squad. You get it, those people that wouldn't allow you to settle. Um, I mean, they are always um, like there are always people you can look up to. When I don't think I have read as many books or I have followed as many books um, since till I mean I started um, till we merged to work on Money Convos, started reviewing books, and I think since then I've been more interested in acquiring knowledge, and it's just as a result of having these kind of people who are always on your neck. Someone is reading the book in one weekend, you're like, oh my god, what am I sitting here doing? It always helps. And I also like the fact that he also made mention of friends that the other side of it, people who you can look up to and say, this is not what I want. I think i think sometimes it's important, and where I work, you see people who retire well. It's nice. Then you say, okay, I think I like this one, but it's good to see the other side just in case you want to backslide. You know what is chasing you. So I think the balance is good, but you should have that pressure squad, very important, because they keep you going and not settling for less.
Exactly. That pressure squad, and most importantly, when you understand where people go wrong, when you understand when people go wrong, then you know what you shouldn't do. You know
Yes.
what you shouldn't do. So that's also a good case of choosing your friends. People, you may say that you don't deliberately choose your friends, right? But I think there are certain people that I don't go near, and there are certain people who also don't come near me, and I think it's fine. So yeah. I think it's fine. Sometimes people say that you've never been in such a situation. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why I've never been in such a situation. I don't get into such situations in the first place. I won't allow myself, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Guess what? That what if won't happen. It is highly unlikely to happen because I won't engage with that kind of person. You get me? So it's just something that people need to understand that both your actions and inactions can get you into a certain group of friends. So you need to be careful. How you carry yourself around also matters. Yeah. Okay, so there's this also point about mastering a formula and then learning a new one. So you need to be able to learn new tricks and then adapt to new tricks. And then when as you move on, learn new ones so that you can build your repertoire. Else if it's just one thing that you always be stuck there. What if that those kind of opportunities have stopped working out, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
I think I saw something on this particular guy and his recommendations for investment. I think it had moved from, I think, was it oil and gas at some point to something to real estate, and now he mentions cryptocurrency. I follow him on Facebook and I realize he's been talking about cryptocurrency a lot, and like that's the hottest thing, and people are like insulting him because 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 the market is down, and so you always have to be on top of your game. It doesn't mean it makes it easy, always learning about NFTs and this that, and oh geez. I mean, uh, but one thing I like about what he says is being a generalist, instead of being a specialist. So it doesn't mean that you need to know every detail, but you can have a general idea of what NFTs are, of what cryptocurrency are, I mean, how to buy them, whatever. You should have a general idea of those things, because the opportunities are, they keep moving. So today, it's real estate because the prices of houses are down. It's a good time to take advantage of this opportunity, get it and flip it. After a while you realizes that prices are up because everybody is getting into it. Prices are up, then the next thing is to look for the next opportunity where prices are low and you can tap into that. So that means that you should be someone who reads a lot, someone who soaks in information a lot. And these days, I don't do it, but let me just advise. These days, there are a lot of articles. In fact, even Twitter. Just going through Twitter, if you follow the right page, you can have a general idea of things that are going on without necessarily going to read anything long. Because, like, every day there's something. So you just want to have a general idea of what is going on so that you are not left out of any opportunity.
true. Don't be left out of any opportunity. Keep learning. Okay, great. Welcome, Jennifer. How you doing?
Hello, Elikem. Hi, Mimi. I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, well.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So, Jennifer, we've been talking about the steps or the steps that Robert Kiyosaki mentioned in his book are good to start your journey towards wealth creation. We've spoken through points 1 to 6, and we are continuing on. So, which one would you like to pick on to start your discussion?
Please pardon me if I seem like I'm coming very close to the monitor. My laptop was messing up, so I'm using my phone right now. Okay,
Okay.
so I'd like to start with I'd like to talk on more than one, but then I'd like to start from the making daily choices. So
No, so Jenny,
okay,
pardon me,
from
just a
okay,
second. Like from seven going, if you could
okay,
pick one for
okay.
us to get into.
So choose heroes.
Okay.
Choose heroes. I think that is a very interesting ideology to have because we learn by emulating others. It's very interesting to see how kids pick up language and behavior. Look at their parents and their immediate family. So, as human beings and as social beings, we learn from looking at what people
Okay.
that have done
See,
what we want to choose heroes. And I'm back, right? You
yes,
can hear
yes,
me.
yes. Please,
Yes.
Okay.
please take it
So,
again from when you said children emulating people in their family.
o- okay. So, because of that, the way we are social, if you choose somebody that is charting the path you want to chart, and then you learn from the person's activities, mistakes, anything that the person has done, it gives you a not a clear path because everybody will have to have their own challenges and their own experience, but then it gives you sort of a blueprint that you can follow that will get you there faster than you just making your own mistakes and learning from your own things. Another thing is that you can learn from these people's mistakes and try and avoid them. So yeah, I think choosing our heroes and then trying to emulate them or live like they do will get us to where we want to get to faster than doing it ourselves. Thank you.
Great. You know, on this point about see getting people you can emulate, it reminds me of some feedback I got about my team some years ago, probably 4 years ago. And someone in a different department was saying that when they talk to my team about a problem we want to solve or something innovative we want to do, we always give them reasons why it can't happen. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. Now I have to work on that. Fast forward to this point where now I'm encouraging people to see visions and whatnot, right? And I look back and I see it's one thing that's helped me with that kind of feedback is really about having heroes. And this is how I listen to podcasts. Anyone who's listened to Money Convos more than once knows that I'm a podcast junkie. I always have my ears plugged with earpiece, right? And one of my favorite, some of my favorite shows are about people telling their stories. So we have How I Built This. We have David Rubenstein's peer-to-peer conversations. There are conversations with Adam Grant, a lot of interview-like kind of shows because I love to hear how people are doing it. You would always hear like you wouldn't struggle to find people who tell you that it can be done, but you need to get the people who have shown that it can be done and then learn from them. And once you're able to picture it, like Jennifer, this book that we read, Amazon Unbound, the book about Jeff Bezos, and
Yeah.
Outliers. Maybe were you able to read Outliers?
I've gone through half, so it's left with
Ah,
half.
good. By this time, you'd have even picked it up. They tell you about people who are doing magnificent things, right? So one time, a few weeks ago, I had a conversation at a department meeting about things that we should be doing and we should be innovative. And this is a problem that we can solve. Let's just make the decision to solve it. Then at the back of the conversation, when we're done, I didn't want to push too hard during the meeting. After my appeal, I just left it be, or maybe two more comments after that. But I talked to my manager at the end, and he also shares this kind of mindset. And I asked him if we were in the room with Jeff Bezos, that conversation we had about all the reasons why it can't happen wouldn't have happened. That conversation is a no-no for such a person. So when you start reading about your heroes, even if you can't meet them, if these are real people in your neighborhood or in your network you can meet, you start living like them, and that paradigm shift, it's amazing. It's amazing. Amazing. Mimi, how about you? Any thoughts on heroes?
I totally love to hear the stories of people like you. either by reading their book, YouTube, I mean, wherever I can hear these stories from. It's unfortunate that in Ghana you don't hear as many stories, of course, unless you go for a seminar or something, but there aren't as many stories. And I think that while we look at the Western world to get stories from them, it's important that we tell our own stories and those stories are available, because sometimes it's difficult for us to relate to in our minds, this person. I mean, when you read a story of Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or whatever, I mean, yes, it's inspiring, but it's not as relatable. But if it's somebody like maybe somebody who was working in where you are working now, right? Who has made it, and I mean, you be like, Charlie, the possibility is there. This is real. So while we are looking to, the Western world for motivation, I believe that it's a call for us. By God's grace, we'll all be successful. It's a call for us to start sharing our stories, not just by sharing them in seminars, but also having these recorded in books or I mean something that generations after us can watch and be encouraged. I think it's very important, because I mean, I remember in December I went for this seminar and the CEO's story just spoke to me. But one trait of hers, I thought that Charlie, this lady is like me, like her values align with mine. And this lady is like a big CEO. Why not? Why can't I do it? So I think it's important that we also share our stories.
I want to add a little bit to Mimi's point.
Yeah, but Jenny, pardon me, just before you do, Mimi, if the way you are saying these things, like we need to bring out more stories. So more like Money Convo should be doing more my money stories, right? Like the one we
Yeah,
had with
yeah,
the
yeah. Yeah, I thought that last week was important. And the reason being that one thing I learned from that session is, I mean, Debbie has a CFE. I mean, what Jennifer is eyeing, And she has all those credentials. And even with that, she made mistakes. And something that somebody told me about a month ago that has stuck with me is everybody makes mistakes. You make the mistakes and you move on. So it's very good to hear from such people, because when you make the mistake, you don't feel like a failure. You remember, oh, this lady also made this mistake. I'm also human. I can, pick up and move. You get it. So yes, there should be a lot more storytelling. Very important.
wonderful, wonderful. Charlie, Jenny, please, your comments again.
Yeah, when Mimi was talking, I just remembered. Mimi, do you know Mansa Musa,
Oh yeah, is he from Mali or one of
the
those?
richest man in? So he was purported to be the richest man in. I think I've heard world, but I would like to just bring it to Africa.
Water
Where
it down there.
like Africa, and this era, people were overthrowing people left, right, front, center. He was able to stay with his empire for a very long time. Had a huge following, which bred a lot of inbred conflicts. But then he was still able to stick to his empire for a very long time. And I feel like he would have had a lot of very serious lessons to learn from this man, because he was a if he were now, he would probably be a millionaire or a billionaire. But we didn't learn anything from Mansa Musa because nothing was jotted
Was
down.
recorded, yeah.
Yeah. And it won't be so surprised. Like, I can, if you check on Google right, the books about Jeff Bezos, and you check on the books on Dangote, they are nowhere near par.
Nowhere near.
Nowhere
I don't
near.
know if I don't know if it's the African witches or what that we are trying to, avoid.
Want to buy something from an African, hide it in a book too. So
No, Jessica, as I read this Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, man, my dad gave me this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. The other book we read, the Babylon book.
Richest man in Babylon.
When I was in Gehe, this man gave me this book. I didn't read it. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, like, look at what I've missed. And I finished school like 2016, 2006, sorry. So that's like more than 10 years ago. Look at what I would have known. Certain challenges that I went through, I believe I wouldn't have gone through those challenges. So I mean, we need to do more. We need to do more and get at. So right now, my son likes to read. Hold a book. I just want to build like that interest. I don't want him to lose it because I realize how important it is to read people's story. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to make those mistakes again. Somebody has made it. Just read the book, advise yourself, and move on. Yeah. So just to add.
Okay. Apologies. My internet is very choppy where we are. These things will be
Sorry
happening.
about.
So I think I've met what Mimi said, but we can move on.
Elikem, your microphone.
Yeah, oh, great, great. Welcome back. But yeah, did you conclude your point, Jenny?
No, so I was just going to buttress what Mimi said that as I was saying, we don't have a lot of data on even kind millionaires. And the new generation will also come and then they would want something. They will say that, oh, it is scanty. So it behoves on us to start right now by jotting things down, by autobiographies. I don't think we have a lot of autobiographies in Africa like that, but do something with your life. And when you are done, jot it down so that people will find it easier to do that than you did. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. This particular point just reminds me on why there aren't so many Ghanaian stories. One thing that I loved about Debbie's conversation, which if anyone has missed, just go on our clubhouse or our link tree to just find that recording, and she says, and it's about what she doesn't say, or what she doesn't say as often as much as other people say. When African people, when they are successful here, you ask them, they say the grace of God. Charlie Jack, we know,
It's
we
the
know,
grace of
They
God.
were with- And now they are
we
millionaires.
know.
By the grace of God.
By the grace, we know. Okay, wait here. Let's take that one like it's oxygen. It exists. We know. But what did you as a human being do? Tell us. Show us the way. So yeah, more people being willing to open up like that would help. Okay. All right. So for the sake of time, we'll just take one main point, and I would love for it to be number 8. Use assets to buy luxuries. But before that, I just let's see what's how be an Indian giver. It talks about giving something for nothing. That's giving something without expecting to get something back immediately. And then there is also the point of teach and you shall receive. I strongly encourage you that if you've not read the book, go and read the book and get these points so that you can start with your wealth creation journey. But let's now delve into using assets to buy luxuries before we call it a night. And let me start. Just yesterday, a friend was buying an iPhone. She needed a new phone, so she was buying an iPhone 12 Pro. I even showed it to Jennifer as if someone had dashed me a phone, but I received it on her behalf, and it, and I'm like, I need a tablet. I need an iPad actually. So maybe in a few months I'll have to get one, or I'm praying that in a few months someone will give me a gift of an iPad. So wink, wink at all my friends. Wink, wink. Anyway, so when I was thinking about it, I was like, how was it bought, or how are assets bought? Making such a purchase, it may be important for you. Making such a purchase may be important for you, but how did you acquire it? What did you use your income to buy it? Did you use the proceeds from an asset, maybe an investment, and the interest on a certain investment is what you used to buy it? That kind of thing. It got me thinking, because this client, I was telling you earlier today, a client has released a new car. Every year he releases new car. See, in a year, how much he spends on cars, it's less than his interest on his investments. It's less. Please, I want to get there. I want to get there so that I don't end up having to use my income to buy stuff, And then when there's not enough, like the book talks about, many poor people and many middle income people do. When your income is not enough, you borrow to buy consumer goods. Life, you should enjoy. You should go on vacations. You should have the luxuries. But how you pay for it, whether you can afford it, it's an important thing to consider. Jenny, what do you think about this?
So I think this is very, very imperative because um it makes you very conscious about if you want to increase your level of luxurious items, or the level of comfort or luxury that you live in. That means that you have to let your assets work for you. So you have to be filling your assets column very, very much to be able to get the interest income from there to be able to afford luxury items. And I think even in the book, Robert Kiyosaki's wife Kim bought I think it was a Mercedes, if I stand to be corrected, from interest income. And people were so surprised. She had driven one car for a very long time, investing her money, and then all of a sudden she was driving a Mercedes. Like, it's very fulfilling when you know that, like, this money, it is my interest that bought it for me. Like, do you know me? I'm not touching my salary, I'm not touching anything. I think it's also arts flex and it's arts bragging rights. So if you are a person who likes these bragging rights and things, this will also be a chance for you to take, so that you can tell your friends that it is interest that you are using to buy these things and not your salary. But even more to the point, I think it helps you to delay gratification a little bit, because as human beings we all want luxury. And imagine you get to work very early, close late, always grinding. After a point you want to relax and also enjoy your life. Eli can shout out to the meeting we had. You want to relax
You
and
know what I'm
enjoy
saying?
your life a little bit. So it pays that you build your assets, and then after you've built your assets, you left a legacy and everything, then you relax and let your interest feed you. The chickens and their babies also come and feed you. So yeah, thank you.
Hmm, wonderful. Oh man, to that meeting, another powerful meeting to Charlie, Mimi, people have sacrificed.
I should
And
be coming for these meetings.
oh, you should, Charlie. We're working, managing investments for high net worth individuals can be quite fulfilling. When you
Yeah.
learn about what some of these people did to earn, to become wealthy, you understand that, Charlie. It's any better. This person we are talking about, he sacrificed, and he's a few years to retirement. He's like, hey, all my life I've screamed, and he was giving examples. If I'll eat, if it means I should eat this instead of that, then I do that. And now he's like, hey, I'm about to retire. Save for the future, save for the future. When is the future again? The future is now. So he's
Now,
going to enjoy. He's come to enjoy. He told us in a few years that he's coming for money to go and buy a certain car. Ah, Mama Mia. Anyway, maybe what are your thoughts on using assets to buy luxuries?
I think that's an important conversation, because it's easier said than done. It's easier than done. Okay, said, whichever. um,
Easier said than done.
I mean, I'm just taking it as, like Jennifer said, you need a car. You have been hustling some cultural level and you need a car. The average person will take their investments, not their returns. Take the investment and go and buy that car. Because for you to be able to have enough returns to purchase a car, it means that you should have invested for a long while, number one, and that's where delayed gratification comes in. So, I mean, it comes up to the first thing we spoke about, having a reason why you do what you do. So that if you are taking the trotro, you are taking it with flex, knowing that your Mercedes Benz is on its way. You get it. So I think that is easier said than done, but it's if you want to build wealth, that is a very good way of doing it, and it's a way of. I mean, I have taken my investment to buy something before, and it wasn't a good feeling. The money is gone, but with this one, you know that the whatever it is still laying eggs for you, and I think that is the ideal way of doing it. But one thing we should have at the back of our mind is that it takes time to be able to build, these assets that would generate this kind of income for you. Unless you are fortunate or you take risk, like he said, looking out for investments with very high returns, or you get some killer, opportunity. But for the average person, especially if you choose to go the more conservative way, as was said in the book, it takes a while. So we should have this at the back of our minds.
Yep. You have to make sure that if you are going the non-conservative way, you can take up that risk, right? But it's all about the delayed gratification. If you are going the conservative way, it's not today matter. You see somebody's father driving Land Cruiser, but meanwhile somebody's child, 20 something year old, you also want the same Land Cruiser. If you can get it legitimately, why not? If you can afford it, why not? But if you can't, delay the gratification. Wait till it's time. And when it's time, you shall reap where you have sowed. I love this book so much. It's taught me a lot. And I like how I disagree with some things in there. I actually like it. I mean, it shows you that you may disagree with someone, but there's always something to learn. And even with someone you may agree with entirely, there are a few things you may disagree with, right? It's about knowing what works and then picking up those lessons. So for me, I hope everyone who's heard us having these conversations will go and pick up this book and read. It doesn't take too much time to read this book. Even if you dedicate 30 minutes a day to read it, in this day and age, you don't necessarily have to buy a book, hold a physical book to your face and read. You can take it on your phone, read it, or you can even have your phone read it out to you, so that while you are doing anything else, you just read along with the book, and then you will learn a lot of lessons. I can assure you it's going to be fulfilling. Rich Dad Poor Dad, most importantly, says pay yourself first. We've learned that from the richest man in Babylon. Everyone is saying this: pay yourself first. And when you start paying yourself first, man, everything else will follow. Anyway, without much ado about it, I'd just like to remind you all that on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Clubhouse, we are having Mimi taking us through retirement planning. It's been a few months since we talked about it, retirement planning. So Mimi will take us through all the things we need to know, the steps we need to take, and it will be a wonderful conversation. So if you've not had anyone telling you about retirement, and it seems like you're in your 20s and retirement is 30 something years away, you don't worry. Just come and listen, right? Worst case, what's the worst that will happen? Well, you spent a few minutes of quality time listening to an expert. Well, that's good, right? But what's the best that could happen? You start putting money away now. You start preparing yourself now, and you are set for life. So do join us. Follow us on social media, on Clubhouse. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, or send us an email at moneyconvosgh@gmail.com, and we will respond. So, ladies, thank you for making the time, and I'll catch you all on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, then. Do take care. Enjoy your week.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.